Okay, guys, hey, thank you so much for coming back into the room and clicking back on, wrapping this thing up. We're going to kind of wrap up these last three chapters together. And chapter 10, they talk about the difference between recognition and appreciation. And again, so many times people don't understand the distinct difference between what it is to recognize what a person is doing and appreciating what a person is doing. And what happens is that so many times, particularly with recognition, recognition, it just places emphasis on the performance of that individual or the performance of that team. Recognition focuses primarily just on what's happening, what's the end result of this team. Appreciation focuses on the value of that individual on that team. In other words, we kind of hone in to appreciate the value of the person, not just to recognize the performance that's happening. And again, what happens that they show in a lot of places, workplaces particularly, that people struggle because they feel like that they don't have the appreciation given to them. You get recognition. Oh, God, yeah, you accomplished this. You got this done. What happened? That was the performance side. But what about the person side of things? Recognition often, again, misses half of the team because, again, the two primary languages of appreciation that most workplace uses, the two primary, is words of appreciation and tangible gifts. Again, there's three other gifts out there. There's acts of service, there's quality time, there's physical touch. And yet most corporations, they focus on those two things. So you're missing half of the team out there. Not everybody has words of appreciation. Not everybody has those tangible gifts. And then thirdly, recognition often has a significant financial cost to a corporation. Again, if you're trying to recognize everybody, giving everybody a bonus, giving everybody a raise, giving everybody a gift, I mean, that can financially become almost impossible for some corporation. But the concept of sharing motivation by appreciation, you can put that to work in any financial climate and in any size of corporation. It really doesn't matter about that. So recognition and appreciation, totally two different things. Can we do both? Should we do both? Probably so. But preferable, what studies are showing us and what the book is all about, preferable, people want to be appreciated at their workplace rather than just being recognized for the performance that's happening. So how do we overcome common obstacles? Again, chapter 13 talks about some common obstacles that we encounter. And usually the first question that people always ask me is, hey, Dr. Phil, does a person's language of appreciation ever change over time? In other words, if it was words of affirmation, could it ever shift and be something else? And again, what studies reveal, Dr. Gary talks about, is that usually our primary language tends to stay close to the same throughout our lifetime, just like our personality trait. If you're a dominant lion, rarely is that lion ever going to convert and just be totally a golden retriever. It isn't going to happen. Now, what will happen is that there are certain factors in seasons of our life where our secondary language or even our third language, and again, when you take the test, you'll have a dominant language, you'll have a second, sometimes real close to the first, and then there'll be a third. And what happens is, again, studies show that certain seasons of your life and things happening, your language can change. For instance, you can have a personal crisis. And any type of personal crisis has a huge impact on us. Emotional support, encouragement during a personal crisis is important. But if you've been one of those people that tangible gifts has never meant a lot to you. You'd rather have quality time, or you'd rather have words of affirmation. Giving gifts has never been a biggie for you. But if you have a personal crisis and your finances tank, and you have a real medical need or health need or a child need or something, and somebody walks up to you and gives you a tangible gift, gives you a gift of money in that personal crisis, it can have a tremendous impact and adding value and showing you encouragement. Same way about you. You may not ever be a physical touch person. You may not be a person that likes to be touched, but you get into a personal crisis, you lose a parent, you lose a spouse, you lose a child. Sometimes that friend or that coworker just walking up to you and putting their arms around you and just giving you that real firm hug and just letting you know that they care. I mean, it can speak volumes to us. So often our language of appreciation, it can shift. But another situation that might influence that shifting, other than just a personal crisis, if someone continues to be rewarded for their performance to the point that receiving a reward is no longer exciting to them. In other words, if someone that appreciated a gift card early in their life, when finances was low, and getting a $25 or $20 Dunkin' Donut card, Starbucks card meant a lot to you then. If your life changes and you're making more money and you buy your own Dunkin' Donuts and coffee, you buy your own Starbucks, I mean, you might not appreciate that card like you did. And what happens is we have to kind of learn to discover what it is that's going on in our life or our teammates' life, and understand, it could shift in that. And then lastly, chapter 14, overcoming our challenges. So the question is not if you appreciate your coworkers. The question is not, do you value people? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt of saying, I guarantee you probably do. But the real question is, do they feel appreciation? And oftentimes we have to overcome the common challenges that hinder us. Now, number one common challenge that's been notated, particularly in the workplace, is busyness. Most people don't allow margin in their life for daily interruptions or problems or challenges. Particularly if you got teammates on your team that quality time. If you haven't built in some of those daily interruptions, your busyness can often cause you to kind of bypass a real need that is there. And oftentimes, the most important way to overcome busyness in our life is to prioritize what's going to really be important. Can I set aside this project for 5 minutes to let this person on my team feel valued and worth? Secondly, the other obstacle we have to overcome is the belief that communicating appreciation is not important. And again, we want to create higher loyalty. We want to create less turnover in our team members, and having a higher job satisfaction rating. All of that's going to benefit the morale of your team. And what happens is we cannot ever fall into the thought or the idea that communicating appreciation is not important to all of those factors. Again, as I said earlier on these teachings, people don't leave because of money. People leave because they don't feel valued and worth. Thirdly, we have to overcome the obstacle of feeling overwhelmed with our own responsibilities. And oftentimes that produces in our lives, again, that comes out of that busyness, and we feel overwhelmed. We feel undervalued or underappreciated. And one way to treat this is just to acknowledge and to validate other people's perspective around us. I don't care how overwhelmed I'm feeling. I don't care what my challenge is I have to understand what their perspective as a team member, what their perspective as one of my co-workers is. I have to value that, and I have to treat that to the point that they understand that I acknowledge that. And then fourthly, it's just our structural, procedural issues that often inhibits maybe the effectiveness of what we're trying to accomplish. And again, there's structures built in where it's difficult. If you you can't personally give tangible gifts. You can't, you don't have access to give somebody a day off, or you don't have access to give somebody a gift card. Again, that's just an obstacle that's there. It doesn't mean that you can't do something. It just means that you have to find creative ways to make sure whatever that co-worker's language is that you're communicating. And then number 5 is just our personal discomfort with communicating appreciation. And again, there's 2 trains of thought when it comes to that. The first one is very dominant within the workplace, and it just simply, hey, Dr. Phil, why should I constantly be thanking people and appreciating people for the job that they do, that I pay them to do, or they get paid to do? And that's the number one obstacle we have to understand. It isn't just about the money. Yes, you pay them. Yes, it's part of their job. It's part of their responsibility, their job responsibility that they've already went through. But it doesn't take away from the fact that your team member needs to hear from you how much they're valued and appreciated. And the second obstacle is, I always do my best. I'm a self-starter. I'm self-motivated. Why can't they be the same? And again, us type A personalities, us lions, we're very dominant in that. We feel like, well, I do this, I do what I do, and I don't expect anything. Why should anybody else? And again, I have to overcome that. And I have to overcome the weirdness factor of how do we put things together, and how do we make sure that people around us can feel that, and they can feel valued. And when we do this, and again, this is such a neat book, putting us together, having us understand that the importance of words, the importance of time, the importance of gifts, the importance of acts of service, the importance of oftentimes in the right moments, those physical touch. You and I can absolutely build the morale, keep our team motivated. And listen, when we become aware of this, when we understand this, then we understand that we can make this by showing appreciation to our colleagues, by effectively communicating that, by listening, finding out what their needs are. It will enable us to be able to really have a workplace that people value, and they're excited. If I'm going to spend 15 to 20% of my lifetime in a workplace, I want to do it where I feel valued and I feel appreciated. Again, this is Dr. Phil. It's been so great. Thank you for watching these. Continue to read this book, finish this book, take your test, discover what your team members' motivation by appreciation is, and then use it as a tool to keep the morale and the motivation of your team being the best, where when they walk home on a Friday, go home on a Friday, leave, they're excited to come back to work on a Monday because, hey, I've got the best team around. Hey, look forward to seeing you again. God bless you.